The Brown Park Podcast is brought to you by Grow Clinics. They're Australia's leading hair transplant clinics, and you can go to growclinics.com.au. How many liquids do you have there, by the way?
I've got a couple. You need to
Okay, so you just took a sip of water.
Mm-hmm. I did.
And you've got coffee? Water? Is that sparkling?
It is sparkling. I drink nothing less. Pellegrino.
I don't know how you can drink sparkling water. It's like tastes like balls. Not that I've ever tasted balls.
I was going to say you'd know, but no. I love it.
Oh, God. And then?
A coffee.
Coffee. Yeah.
And then another coffee.
Another coffee.
You need to be prepared.
Double shot Dion.
Double shot Dion. See, you need to be prepared going into podcast.
Oh, my God. At the end of this one, you're going to be like, hey, so how's it all going? It's really good. Yeah,
Midlife crisis. I'm going through one right now. Give me help me.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Question.
Yes.
Midlife crisis.
Yes.
Obviously, going into this episode, we're talking to a lady that helps people that may be going through one or they feel they may be heading into one.
Yes.
Tell me about yours, because you've had a couple and you've got...
No, I haven't had a couple. I will correct you on that one. I've had one.
One.
And I kind of got to a point where I realised that I've lived life very safely.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit me in my 40s, as you know. And it hit me in my 40s, and I sort of thought, wow, I've really played life safely. I've had a great job. I love my job in radio, and I've interviewed lots of people, and it's been great. But as far as taking risks, and as far as doing the things that I've actually gone, you know what, I've always wanted to do that, I'm going to go and do it, I had never done.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I was going to be a typical midlife crisis 40-odd-year-old man who goes and picks up an 18-year-old girl.
Because you couldn't, but okay, keep going.
I couldn't. But I did I bought a nice car. I went on a dangerous holiday. We went on a dangerous holiday to Chernobyl.
Yes, we did. I love your midlife crisis.
Yeah, no, your midlife crisis has been very good. My midlife crisis has been very good for you. You know, we went to Dubai. We've gone to Vegas. We've actually both gotten hair transplants.
Thank you, Grow Clinics again. We love you.
Yeah. So I kind of went through that moment where I was kind of like, I don't feel like I've lived my life. I feel like I've been a passenger for a lot of it.
Yeah, you've played it safe for sure.
And so I wanted to do something different, and that's the midlife crisis. And you and I have now got a lot of friends that are going through this, and that's why we thought we'd bring this to the podcast today and talk about it with an expert. Laurie McDermott, welcome to the podcast.
G'day.
Hey, guys.
You are the wife expert.
Yes, sir.
Are you a wife, or have you been a wife at some point?
I am a wife. I identify as a woman.
Oh, okay. Very good. I like that identification.
Just in case anyone was curious. What was the other question?
Oh, no, just wondering whether you were married now or whether you've been, whether you're married now.
No, I'm still married. Almost 27 years.
Okay.
Wow, that's a
So you've got
solid
experience
effort.
in. We can take your advice. That's great.
That's called the new status symbol.
I love it.
It is
Everyone
really.
can do it.
Well, we're both I'm at 22
And I think I got married
That's a long time.
I got married the year before you, I think. So
Yeah,
maybe
so
I'm
you're about 23 years.
Yeah.
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 Congratulations. That's huge.
So we're doing all right.
And it's been all smooth sailing too. There's been no bumps whatsoever.
Yeah, no, none. None.
It's been perfect, right?
Yeah, it's happy days.
Just like life.
And that is why we have you on the podcast this week, because we wanted to talk about something that you specialise in, and that is midlife crisis. Now, I've been through it. Have you been through it, Dion?
No, I wouldn't say that I have yet.
No.
I'm 47, so no, not yet. Look, it may still come. I am planning on buying a Harley for my 50th, so does that qualify? Don't know if it does.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
You guys are funny.
But a lot of our friends at the moment are going through it.
How do you know? Do they announce it?
Well, you can see it in well, not necessarily, but a lot of our friends are breaking up.
Yeah, there's a lot of breakups.
Okay, that
partners.
doesn't necessarily mean it's a midlife crisis. There are very distinct signs.
Okay, because we were talking about it because there's some people that they're like, well, I've gotten to this far and it's just I'm not achieving what I wanted to achieve in life and I'm not happy in the place that I'm in. So that's not necessarily a midlife crisis, or
That is. When they go, I'm not happy. I don't like my job. I don't like my car. I didn't think, I just have this one house. And then there's you.
yeah,
That's it. Like, that's all I got. Like, I want more. I deserve more. and that fantasy starts.
Okay.
And then some little girl at the bar goes, "Hi," and the guy goes, "Really? You like me?"
Something new.
So this is way down my list of questions, but that seems to happen a lot where guys of our vintage go, I want to go and explore somebody that's 20 or something new and fresh, and then they go and do that, and out of like I've found in my life, I haven't done it, but I mean in people that I've seen, you end up in the same spot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that you see regularly?
Oh, that's the whole point. You gotta remember, wherever you go, there you are. Nothing's gonna change.
Yeah.
You got this issue today where you're nervous or have anxiety or something's wrong with you. You see something shiny and new and you're like, oh, if I get this, I'm gonna feel better. But then you get it, oops, and then you don't feel better. You for a little while, and then it goes away. And then you go out and search for something else, and then you get that, and you're like, oh, this is it. This is my God, right?
Yep.
Identifying things as like your savior, and it never works out, and you constantly go searching. But you've got to remember, it's like the Dorothy, Wizard of Oz syndrome. The only answer for happiness and joy is what's inside of you. You got to find it in here first. You're never going to find it out there. Humans will fail you every time.
So you work with a lot of people that obviously go through or think they're starting to head into a midlife crisis. What are the biggest signs that you're heading into one? Like, can you capture it before you get there?
Someone dies, someone loses a job, someone has some type of failure, or they lose a lot of weight, or they gain a lot of weight quickly. It's just a shift in lifestyle really quickly that they're not in control of.
Okay. See, I found that when I might not have had my midlife crisis, but I found that I sort of got to a point in my life where I was, I haven't lived enough for what I thought I would. Like, I had a great job. I was very happy. I had a great family, got kids, got the whole lot. But I found like felt like I'd been more of a passenger in my life rather than in control of it for a lot of it. And that meant that I wanted to go and have some experiences. Now, that didn't mean that I wanted to go and have experiences with a 20-year-old. I wanted to go and do some wild shit, I guess.
What? What'd you want to do?
Well, I wanted a decent car, so bought a decent car.
How'd that make you feel? You get the car, then what happens?
I felt good.
For how long?
I still feel good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Was that enough?
Had the car for 4 or 5 years now, and I still love my car.
Okay, but was that enough to fill you?
No. So I also wanted to go and do trips, go to places that I'd always wanted to go to, but nobody that I know apart from this guy here would ever want to go on.
What kind of trips?
Okay, so we went to Chernobyl. In the Ukraine.
It was epic. It was epic, by the way.
Okay, so do you know Chernobyl?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a city next to it called Pripyat, which was abandoned the day that the whole Chernobyl nuclear factory melted down. And I've always wanted to go to this abandoned city. And I was like, I'm in my 40s. I've always wanted to do this, and I've never done it. We should do it. And so we did it, and we did it.
And then how did that feel?
Oh, it felt fantastic. And I we did that, 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's
Before COVID.
Before COVID. Yeah. And it's an adventure that stuck with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Why?
Because I felt like I lived. I felt like I did something, and it gave me the courage to do other things. So it's giving me the courage to climb a mountain. It's given me courage to go sandboarding in Dubai, to, just do sort of weird and wonderful things that I don't know whether I would have necessarily had the courage to do, if I hadn't had a very supportive wife who went, you're going through something, you need to do this.
That's important.
And a friend who's absolutely batshit crazy.
That's the guy next to you.
This guy.
It helps.
I'm just kidding.
Indeed I am.
That guy.
So I think that was my part where I was perfectly happy with my beautiful wife. I was perfectly happy with my kids and stuff, but I just felt like I'd been a passenger rather than in charge of my own life.
How do you feel now?
In charge of my own life. I recognise that, so I've done a lot of therapy. I've sought mentorship. I've done all sorts of things to try and make me feel the way I am now.
Good.
Well, because you've got to double, because so Laurie, Christo suffers from depression. So he had the depression side, the depressive side coming at him. Obviously, being mid-40s, not feeling he's lived his life enough. So I think that's he had it coming at him from both angles. I think
Depression has a lot to do with it. There's not many men in crisis who believe in God or who are not depressed.
Is a midlife crisis mainly exclusive to men, or do women go through this as well?
I think men go through it more obviously. Women suffer just in a different way. And there's a lot of men who don't do anything about it. The wife is starting into this like, I deserve better, I want more. And she might not destroy as much as a man does. She'll stick it out more. But and it's not as obvious to too many people. Like when a man's going through it, he lets his hair grow long, he'll grow a beard, he'll change his clothing. If he likes wearing loafers, he'll start wearing, sandals. There's just outside appearances where women don't do that. They're not the same in that. But they still get the same, I need to live, and they start clinging to their girlfriends. And men don't have girlfriends. They don't have really good friends to talk this through. Women do. So they can rally with the girlfriends. Now, if they have a lot of girlfriends who are divorced, we're at trouble seas. If they have a lot of friends that are still married, they'll talk them back off the ledge.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because we've seen a lot, I guess, in my circle specifically. I've seen a lot of women leave their husbands, I want to say, over the last sort of 7 years.
Yeah.
So from like 42 onwards, I've seen a lot. I'd say almost 50% of the relationships that I know within my circles have broken up, and that was from the woman leaving the relationship.
And then what happened?
They bounced around from man to man and probably wish I never left the first one.
Boom. But no one would believe that. And all the divorce leaders are like, come to my side. Being divorced is wonderful. Your kids will be fine. Nope.
No.
Fine. Fucked up, irrational, neurotic, and emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then guys do that too. And like I know of one guy who was married, very successful, multiple children, left his wife and shacked up with a 24-year-old, and he's now mid-40s with a 24-year-old. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when guys go through that, they go for the shiny object, and then the shiny object wants what they already have. So eventually they might want to start a family. They might want to settle down and have kids, and they'll still want to explore their careers and be independent and stuff like that. But what you were chasing then becomes what you had. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm lost, but keep going.
20 years later, you're laying next to a lady who is just as boring as your wife was. But now you're not with your original woman who's probably with a new husband and is living without having to work, where the guy who left his wife and chased the 24-year-old and his new kids has to, he can't retire.
Yeah.
He's got a whole new set of people. Every time you divorce, you have to split your money. So by the time you've been divorced 4 times, you got nothing. It's not even worth it. It's cheaper to keep the first one.
Yeah, financially it makes no sense.
It just doesn't.
Unless you're Elon Musk.
Well,
who now has 12 children and to multiple different people. And he's just like, payroll, let's just do it.
That's right.
Round Pop.
Hey team, we need to take a quick second to talk about Grow Clinics, the proud sponsors of our show. Now, Grow Clinics is where your journey to hair restoration begins. At Grow Clinics, they understand the impact hair loss can have on your confidence and well-being. That's why they've invested in state-of-the-art technology and assembled a team of experts dedicated to delivering exceptional results. Their personalised approach ensures each treatment plan is tailored to your unique needs and goals. So whether you're experiencing the early signs of hair loss or you're seeking to restore a fuller, thicker head of hair, Grow Clinics can help you. Take the first step today towards regaining your confidence. Schedule your free consultation at growclinics.com.au. That's growclinics.com.au, and tell them Brown Park sent ya.
Round Pop.
Okay, then Laurie. So then, tell me then. So if you're in a relationship and you're feeling these feelings like that you might be having a midlife crisis, what advice do you generally give to your clients when they're starting to head into this territory?
You have to deal with your spouse who, if you say something like, I'm scared, I feel like I want more, they'll go into a panic. So you have to make it really easy. This is not about you. I just need to go away for a month to sort out my head.
Mm-hmm.
and start there. But what happens is everyone always thinks like, oh, I got to go have sex with other women. And I was talking to a guy this morning who, it's a long story. He had a threesome.
No, go on.
His wife introduced him to a woman and said, I know you're sad. Let's have a threesome. He's depressed. And so they start this threesome for like a year, but then the other woman is skinny and pretty and younger. So what do you think happens? He's paying more attention to the new woman. So the current wife gets jealous and decides this isn't a good idea after a year. And so they start splicing it up. But the husband even gets more depressed because he misses the first girl or the new girl. And so he's been battling that for like 5 years until he found me. And so we've, he wanted to go to Ohio, then he wanted to go to New York, then he wanted to go to Canada. It's like, go. You've got to get out there. You've got to live your life and realize it's not about the girl. It's not about the car. Yeah. It's about you being happy for who you are and what you do. You are enough. You don't need anything else.
I've found that camping has been my thing. I've never been a camper. I've never done anything like that, but I love going to freeze my ass off near a creek with a campfire and just do nothing. And I've found that has been therapeutic for me, and because I'd never done it before.
That's awesome.
And I found that nature, yeah, right.
Calms us down.
And I've said that to quite a few of the guys that I know that are going through it. So just go out in the middle of fucking nowhere for a while and just be you, without anybody, without the job, without the family. Your wife will understand. Just go and be you rather than go and fuck a 20-year-old.
Oh my
That's
God.
That's never a good idea. People go, this is going to be a really good idea. I'm going to go leave my wife secretly and I'm going to go chase tail of a 25-year-old. Because that feels like it's going to be a good idea. And that 25-year-old's an idiot because she's barely she's just barely a teenager.
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything. She's not your salvation, but it looks like it. And when it's never a good idea to go find something.
And also a 25-year-old woman that's sleeping with a 40-year-old married man. Come on. Like, seriously.
She really likes him.
I do.
It's not the money.
No.
At all. Never about the money.
That's it.
So I had actually, I won't say who it was, but I know somebody she liked older men, and so she got married to a man who was like senior to her by, I would say, 20 years, 25 years, and she's now at our age, but she's now living with a 65-year-old.
What's that like?
Or a 70-year-old. And she said, it's fucking boring.
It's
she
terrible.
Said, because he is now old and I am still, for want of a better word, ripe.
Oh, my God.
I still want to go and do things. I want to, not in that way, but you know what I mean? Like, I want to go and explore the world. I want to go and do stuff. And he's a 70-year-old man who's he's retired and he's just kind of wants to sit at home and drink beer and do nothing.
Do nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It happens, and that's I've got friends here who did that. They really like the guy, and he's going to take care of me. And a lot of it has to do with some, daddy issues, right? These girls didn't have a father that said, I love you. You are enough. You're beautiful. You're amazing. And so they felt strong in self. And so I encourage parents today who have husbands that have left them to tell your kids, you are incredible. You don't need anyone else to tell you that. You believe that yourself. Because when you grow strong in yourself, you're not going to chase something that you think is going to fill you because you are full.
Yeah. And do you think, from what I've seen, and I don't know if there's any real correlation, but it's almost like broken families breed broken families. Like my mum and dad are still together. Christo's mum and dad are still together. And growing up, I saw the struggles of holding a marriage together. And both of them, stuck it out. And my wife and I, we do the same thing. Her parents are still together, and she saw the same thing going through her childhood. So I guess if someone comes from a broken family, they say, oh, dad left or my mum left, and they turned out okay. I'm not that fucked up. So, if I'm not happy in this relationship, I'll go find another one because I've seen that it can kind of work out. Would you say that's true, that broken families breed broken families?
Common. It's so common. I've told my kids, you will not be getting engaged or married to anyone who is not with a husband. Their parents aren't still together because the writing's on the wall. Because the person you're marrying, if their parents aren't together, they don't know what is possible. If you see two people that there's no such thing as a relationship or a marriage where people don't fight. You can't live with someone like you two could live together for 10 years and, there'd be days you hate each other. That's just what takes, like siblings. You live together, you're family, you fight. You know what ticks you off and you know where to push buttons. And that's what happens with couples. But there's no exit clause when people grow up with parents that have stayed together because it's not even an option. But if someone has had a parent who's left, there's always like plan B. Even if they don't even think about it, it's in their head. And when something goes wrong or they feel like they can't fix it, they never seek more information to fix it. Instead, they start dreaming about what if I left? What if I had another woman? What if? Instead of going, wait, what do I do here?
So how do you break that intergenerational trauma or that intergenerational issue?
Generational trauma. It's all lumped together. You have to do the work and you have to make sure you stay conscious. It's like I deal with a lot of physical trauma too with people. And so, let's give a kid who grew up seeing his dad hit his mom with a fist, right? Horrific. Kid grows up, I'm never hitting my wife. I am never hitting my wife. 10 years into marriage, wife does something horrific. He takes his fist out and is about to throw it and says, what am I doing? And it comes from what I call programming, because between 0 and 10, what you see is what gets in your head. Even if you see it and later you realize, well, that was bad, incest or, someone, abusing my body and raping me when I'm 9, I don't realize it's bad till I'm 13, 14. And now I'm an adult. I might repeat that same behavior to someone younger because it's familiar to me. As sick as it is, that's how that keeps going. And the only way to stop it is to recognize it and get help for it and vow to yourself you're never going to do it because it's in you. It's like an alcoholic. If your parents were alcoholics, there's a really good chance you're going to love alcohol. And recognizing it when you're going out, to take your 7th cocktail to say, yeah, I got to stop this. And it takes discipline and it takes conscious awareness.
That's the same with depression. We've talked about this a lot on the show, obviously, because we deal with a lot of mental health stuff. But yeah, I recognised my depression when it came along and went instantly, I've got to go and sort it out.
Because your mum suffered.
Because I saw it, because it was generational. My mother had it and sisters got it and everybody like that. So I recognise it. So I get what you mean by that. You can spot the signs and then hopefully can do something about it.
Something I teach my wives to do, which is powerful if they have a child between the age of 14 and 20, I'll ask them, tell your son or daughter to write a letter to their future self so that when they're 40 and they have a daughter around the same age or they're thinking that they're going to go do what their dad did, they don't realize it. But the point is you give that letter to that kid and they open it and read how they felt when they were 13. So I have a lot of people that call me and they'll say, yeah, my husband left. And I'll say, well, how old is your son? And they'll say 13 or 14. Let's say 14. And I'll say, oh. And I said, wait, so how old was your husband's dad? Or how old was your husband when his dad left that family? And there's a pause. And then she'll go, 14.
Really? Yeah.
It's insane how history repeats itself. I'm going to tell you a story. I have one husband who left his family and he's gone. He's chasing women. He lives in D.C. He's got a pretty good job. And his wife is with 3 kids. And every time he comes around the wife, he talks about his dad. Yeah, dad brought his mistress to the funeral. How could he do that to us? And his wife is like, you have a mistress.
Yeah.
You don't bring her around the kids. But don't you see the correlation? And the answer is, nope.
No, it's different this time. Yeah.
I'm not my dad.
Yeah.
But he is.
Yeah.
He's living out his dad's life to solve the issues of his own childhood.
How do we not do this to our children? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of generational trauma handed down to, like, I'm 49, you're 47. I'm not sure of your age, but
104.
104.
Looking good.
Yeah, you're doing really well. How do we not do? Look, I'm just going to say it. How do we not fuck up our children?
Yeah, I say that every day. When I look at my kids, I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's family dinners.
Yeah.
It's family breakfast. It's vacations. It is talking to them over and over and guiding them. Everyone forgets. As a parent, you are the greatest mentor to your kid. Mm-hmm. And if you're sitting there, around the campfire and you're like, hey, that girl you're dating, she's really cool. Did you think about like her parents? Like, maybe her parents fight a lot. Maybe when she grows up, she might fight too. Did you ever think about that? No, Dad, she never fights. Okay. You just start planting seeds.
Yeah.
I call it seed planting. Because you don't know if it'll grow, but if you plant the seed and you water it a little bit over the years, it'll grow.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting.
You got to be diligent. You have to do family dinners. I think that's the one thing our society's lost.
Yeah.
It's sitting around the table, breaking bread with your kids and your wife and the family, even grandparents.
Yeah, yeah.
Or nowadays, they're sitting around the table like this.
Well, there's no phones at the table.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
You got to whip
no
it out
phones
of
at
their
the
hands.
table. Yeah.
The table is for eating and talking.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like talking, you're going to stare at me.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
We've got a rule:
Yeah.
no phones at the dinner table for sure. So, and we do have conversations. It's true when we're at the dinner table, we dead set have conversations that kind of matter. Someone will bring up something or how they're feeling, and we talk about it as a family. So there is definitely something in it. We don't do it as much as we should, but it definitely when we do it, it's there.
So you have to ask some questions, and it's the routine. What was the greatest part of your day? And then go around the circle.
Yeah.
And then say, what was the shittiest part of your day?
Yeah.
And then go around. Because then it's kind of funny. Because then your kid might go, yeah, this kid pushed me out at school. Well, you might not have heard that if you're just sitting around talking.
True.
But if you say something like, what was the greatest part of your day? And then what was the shittiest part of your day? That's funny.
Yeah.
Saying dad said shit at the table. But the kid might go, well, here's what happened. And then it's not weird. You got to unweird bullying and all the trauma that can happen to kids. So we can talk about it and give them tools. So what I teach in midlife crisis stuff is I don't just talk about it. I actually I call it tools in your tool belt. So like, this situation happens and this is what you say. Because in a midlife crisis, men and women will say the same words. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I don't want to give you false hope. And I have responses to every single one of those.
Brown.
Big thanks to Grow Clinics for continuing to support the Brown Park podcast. And has your confidence dimmed alongside your thinning hair? Do you find yourself avoiding mirrors, hiding beneath hats, longing for the days your hair danced in the wind? Well, you're not alone. Hair loss can take a toll, but it doesn't have to steal your joy. With Grow Clinics, you can rewrite your story. They offer a path to rediscover your vibrant self, a journey towards a thicker, healthier head of hair, and their innovative techniques delivered by compassionate experts can transform not just your appearance, but your perspective. At Grow Clinics, they understand the emotional weight of hair loss. They believe in empowering you with personalised solutions, honest advice, and unwavering support. You're not just a patient, you're a partner in rediscovering your confidence strand by strand. So don't let hair loss dim your inner glow. Take the first step towards a fuller, happier you. Contact Grow Clinics today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you rewrite your narrative at growclinics.com.au.
Brown.
How do you bring somebody back from a midlife crisis? Because I know you specialize in this. You say on your website and everything like that, I can help you bring him home. And I know it's directed at men because men predominantly are the ones that go off their brain and go through a midlife crisis. But how can you help bring that? It's kind of like bringing the plane into land. How do you bring him back to the family if the woman wants him back after all that kind of stuff?
Because hasn't the ship, I mean, if the dude is there and thinking about leaving, has the ship not already sailed?
It depends. There's a lot of depends. And so I interview people to see, like, can I help them? Everyone's like, well, what's my biggest problem? Do you know what I tell them?
You?
You?
Yeah. You. You're the biggest problem. Because if you don't believe it can happen, it's not going to happen because you'll sabotage it and ruin it. And I'm not there. So I give them the tools. I teach them what to say and do and how to think and how to act. And if they don't do that, because you just need a couple of years. Because in a couple of years, everything goes back to normal. We got to get through this dark time. It's like it's raining.
Yeah.
And when it's raining, life isn't normal. You can't have that party outside. You got to put up the tarp. You got to, just get ready for the water. And so that's what this is. This is like a big, massive storm, and you can't live the same way.
So I know when I had depression and my I'd sought help and all that kind of thing. But we got to a point in my relationship where my wife just sort of said to me, I love you. I don't want to be anywhere else.
Aww.
But I have done everything I can to help you and support you. I've run out of ideas. You now need to take control of you. I can't tell you what to do anymore. I can't help you anymore. I'm here. Go fix you now.
Because she couldn't keep doing the same thing.
Because she couldn't keep doing it.
What happened?
Therapy.
Okay.
Extensive therapy.
Good.
Going to a therapist, going to talk my feelings through, going on adventures with this guy, literally just going, okay, well, I don't want to lose everything that's important to me, so I need to do something about this, otherwise I'm going to lose everything and be living in a trailer park.
Because you weren't doing a great deal of work at that time, were you? You almost
I just
submitted to it in a sort of general sense.
We have a joke in my family that, you're acting like my surname.
Oh.
Because my family traditionally don't speak things through. My parents used to, oh God, I hope they don't listen to this. My parents used to be angry at each other and not talk to each other for a week. Or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they'd be pissed off. They'd only deal with each other if they had to. And they literally, and then, a week later they'd make up or whatever. But for that week, they wouldn't talk.
How did that feel for you?
Oh, fucking terrible.
The tension in the household would have been crap.
Well, I guess so, but that's something that stands out in my mind.
You're going to have that too, like when your wife does something.
I have had that.
Yeah.
I have had that where I
You got to kill that. You got to kill that.
And that was literally shot dead. My wife went, I cannot live with somebody that doesn't talk to me. Don't fucking go silent on me because I will hang you out to dry.
Yeah.
If you've got a problem, you talk to me now. If I've said something to piss you off, you tell me now. You do not go silent. Do not give me the silent treatment. Talk it through. Talk what's on your mind now because it's the only way that we're going to survive.
Mm-hmm. She's right. You got a good woman.
Well, she's done a lot of work as well. So I think,
Yeah.
both Christo and his wife have done a lot of work themselves, and they bring it to the party, which is, I think, why they're so strong now.
I love it.
Does it ever rear its head more than once, a midlife crisis, or do you find that?
No, it does. Yeah? Yes. I have had I did a show with a girl. Her husband at the time came home 9 times, and now he's on his 13th.
What?
So
13th midlife?
13th midlife crisis.
13th time he's left the house. He comes home. He's like, I'm here. I'm great. Things are fine. He's had therapy, and then something goes wrong, and he leaves.
So, but is that, explain that to me. Isn't it, when the woman takes the man back after that many times, is there an element of giving him a get out of jail free card? Like, at what point does he have to take accountability and say, I can't keep doing this same thing?
The greatest thing about having kids is they'll do your dirty work for you. So I'm a big believer in God, and I don't control people. And like my husband, if he chooses to walk out the door and have another affair, that's between him and the big guy upstairs. And my husband knows after what he did years ago, he's paid the price. He's had a lot of things happen to him that had nothing to do with me. And, he believes in karma. He doesn't believe in God, I think. I'm not sure. He questions it a lot. But he has a different viewpoint, but he follows that. And he's still suffering.
Yeah.
And so we are all responsible to be good people and to treat each other well. And when we don't do that, things will go wrong in our life.
100%.
So if you know you're not supposed to have sex with your neighbor, and you do that and you don't tell anybody, you know it. And so does someone else. And somehow, some way, the world fixes itself.
My neighbour's a 75-year-old man, so I'm not really keen on that one.
Hey, you never know.
You don't know what your midlife crisis might look like. Hang on.
Oh, God.
What?
Okay, so this leads me to another question, and this is obviously something that you would deal with a lot. Men that go out and have an affair. That's always been a double red line for me. Like, if my partner went out and had an affair, I'd be like, no, that's it. But I have known people that have been in that situation that have welcomed their partner back. And yes, it does still cause tension, and they've, the people that I know that's happened to have done a significant amount of therapy. Can you come back from it ever?
Oh, yeah, no.
Like properly to feel the same way about that person as what you used to?
Well, some people have the problem like, well, I had sex with him once and, we've never had sex with anyone else and now he broke it, he ruined it. And so when that happens, they've got to get over that themselves. But then you have to figure out like, well, why? Did this person have this affair to fuck you over? No, they didn't. People don't do that. People don't have affairs to hurt their original partner. They have affairs like a blanket to comfort their own self. And it's a very selfish act. And so they go seek it. And it really has nothing to do with the original wife. Is it good? No. Is it bad? Yeah. But at the same time, this person over here has nothing to do with this person over here going and, drinking alcohol or, killing people. They go to jail. They pay the consequences. You have an affair, things are going to happen to you. Yes, will this suck for a while? Yeah. So when this person comes back, this person's filled with shame and disgust for themselves. And that alone will give them more pain and torture than if this person starts punishing them. Because we're not meant to be each other's judge or jury. We're meant to forgive and let go. And since you weren't the reason they did this, it has nothing to do with you. Unless you were having sex. There are women I coach who, they haven't had sex for I haven't slept with them in 10 years. I'm like, why? I don't know. It's like, no. That's your duty. You have to have sex with your partner. And if he wants to have sex and you don't, you got to belly up. You got a couple minutes in, everyone's happy. You have to get the ball rolling.
Then is that also, okay, so might be too much information, but isn't that upon the guy? Because guys, can see a pair of boobs and go, I'm up, let's go.
Depending on the age.
Yeah, depending on the age. But whereas women need more than that to get themselves into the mood, right? They need to have, I don't want to sound like a dickhead. I don't, they need
love and connection.
They need love. They need connection. They need emotion to be in it. You can't just sort of go, honey, let's go.
What's your question? I don't get a question there.
My question is...
I'm with you, Laurie.
I don't know what my question is there, but you just said that if you're in a relationship and you've got to kind of step up and do your duty, it's upon both of you to make sure that duty is fulfilled, right?
Well, it depends. I mean, having an orgasm is so much better for a guy. He just needs to get off and sometimes he'll go to bed faster, right? Girls don't like that. It's more of a process. We want to be romantic. And some days on a Tuesday, we're like, I don't even feel like that. But if you need to take care of yourself, let's go. And so they can forego the foreplay and the romance and all that stuff that they normally would want on a Friday night after we've had dinner or whatever. But on a random Tuesday when you need servicing and help, that is a call for, help me, this is what I need. Of course. Women should never say no. Ever. I never say no.
And then, and back to the once somebody's strayed or had an affair, Christo, I think can a relationship go back? I think when the person that's strayed has done that, some guys need that, I've fucked everything up. Like they do that, they realise how much they screwed everything up, and they go back to their families. From what I've seen, sometimes the male that has strayed has realised that he's almost lost everything, and then he goes back into the relationship all in. So I think there is something also in that, forgiveness is obviously the key from the person that's been cheated on, but also the person that's done it. There's a lot of forgiveness, and like Laurie said, there's a lot of shame around that as well. So sometimes it almost needs to happen to make them a better person.
And if I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and, assumed I was divorced, and when they heard my story, they are just like, you what? Like, what? How could you, how did you do that? And, it takes a woman that goes through with what I went through and the girls I coach or the men I coach, it's a tough road, but there will never be a tougher road than that road. Like what your wife went through, but you didn't have a girlfriend. But had you had a girlfriend, that would have been one of the hardest things she would ever have to do, except if one of your children died. It's horrific. But once you get through it and you get to the other side, you come out like, wow, okay, I got that. And then life really gets easy because you understand things don't happen to hurt you. You decide they're hurting you and you become resilient.
I have to ask, before we let you go, what happened to you?
My
If you don't mind sharing that story.
Not at all. What do you want to know? My husband had a affair in 2013, 12 and 13.
Yep.
And it was someone he worked with. And there was, his mom died, his dad died, a football hero he loved died. And he was really struggling and he stopped liking his job. And so, you know, he was struggling and sad. And I knew he had depression issues, but I kept going, come on, let's go. And it wasn't working. And he would just get mad at me. And so back then, I would get mad back at him because I didn't understand what was happening. And it took a while. And then when he finally left and said, I found out he was having an affair. He wasn't leaving. Then I said, you have to go. And I kicked him out. And I said, figure out your shit. And if if it works out, you can come home. And over time, I was so mad. And then this guy once told me, there's nothing worse than an angry woman. And I went, I'm not angry. And then I was like, oh.
I'm angry, yeah.
Maybe I am. And so I was. And so I did a lot of work and I figured out that what my husband was doing, it was not to hurt me or our kids. We had 3 kids at the time. We still do, but they're old now. But it was a learning experience that I was in control of me and that I have a right to how I feel about things. And feeling mad about something that someone else is doing for a reason that has nothing to do with me is something I have to let go of. And I did. And once you let go of something like that, you're like, I should have done this years ago.
At what point did you accept him back?
It was probably, I had some really weird experiences, but that's for another day because I don't know if you guys believe in God. But some things have happened to me and I was put in a place where I saw things that I shouldn't have seen. And it opened my eyes and I walked around in a daze for a few days. And then I realized, oh, this isn't me. This is not my problem. I didn't create this and I can't fix it. And when I got to that place, it was freedom. And then it was just picking up the pieces and moving forward in my life. And if he got his act together, maybe we would be together. I prayed for it. I hoped he would. And in the end, he lost his job and had to come home. And he kept saying, I'm coming home for the kids, not for you. And I was like, okay. I'm just glad to have you back. We love you. Glad you're here.
Yeah.
So he moved back in, and it really hard because he was mad. Now he doesn't have a job. We're doing Airbnb just to pay the bills. And then I got a job. I started working as a waitress at LAX International Airport. And but I went home and I was kind to him. But I was at the airport and I'd start talking to people who were married for like 50 years and they were old. And I'm like, how'd you do it? And they would tell me and I would sob. And they're like, oh, honey. And then they would tell me advice. And so then I was like, this is good. I can ask more questions and I can get information out of people in a minute. And so I started asking people about their life and what they knew. And did they have any brothers who had a midlife crisis or anything? And I got so much information.
Okay, then. So what was the common theme? So you spoke to all these people that have been married for 30, 40, 50, 50, 60 years. What's a common theme that they would say when you ask them what's the key to a long-lasting marriage?
When one person stays the temperature that you want the marriage to be. Just one person. Because, you might marry someone who, was abused or, had parents divorce. But if one person stays strong and doesn't fall into that pattern of the other person, because it's easy. People mirror each other all the time. That's why old men will look like their dog. And if you stay resilient to who you are, your core values on what you believe in, and when your spouse starts acting like a doofus, you just say, hey, if that's what you think, if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
If you want to go out and have an affair, if that's what you think you need to do, I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to live my life. Do you want a piece of pizza? I was going to make some because you're friends, right?
Yeah.
So when you start stepping into that arena and just keeping the friendship alive, these people stay together because there's no other option out there. Have you looked at people to date out there in the world? Right?
Yeah.
At this age?
No, I would not like to do that at all.
There's nothing out there.
No.
It's really about accepting people for who they are. When women get married, they want to change their husband the minute they meet him. Ooh, he can do this, he can do this. Men look at their wife, they never want to change her. They want her to stay 24 when they married her and skinny, right? But women want to change their husbands. It's different. But we can't change each other. We have to love each other for who we are. We all have shit in our backyards, and it's not going away. We're all weird. And if we get to know our weirdness with each other and we just love you for your weird shit. I might not like it, but that's who you are. And you accept it, everything goes great.
It's a good way to wrap it up. Good job, Laurie.
The wife expert is what you go by. You can search it on Google and you will come up with all of your stuff. You are an experienced person when it comes to midlife crisis. I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast today, because this is something that we've talked about. Dion and I have talked about this a lot off the podcast, going, we really need to do something like this. So thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us today.
Thank you so much, Laurie.
Of course. You guys, good luck to you. I appreciate you. Thank you for reaching out. Be good husbands. Be good dads.
The Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
Because I don't want to be sad.